the real reason why Meghan Markle made that totally bizarre Instagram post overnight with new pictures of her sort of lying with her face covered, weird shots of the garden, of course, Harry and a very odd looking Archie with a football ball. Oh yeah, that's her. We're gonna get to the outfit, don't worry. And the chopping of the onions and the dirty t-shirt. But I think what's important is first to tell you why. Why did we get these totally bizarre images that Meghan Markle is calling springing into summer? It's because she wants to overshadow her own husband.
I tried so hard. Did you like it?
I'm almost speechless.
Oh man, it's so funny, Dan. It's so funny.
650,000 jars. That's the unsold stock Newsweek found sitting behind Meghan Markle's As Ever brand. Back in January, somewhere around $21 million of jam, tea, and flour sprinkles nobody had bought. Now look at what she posted this week. Springing into summer, a sun-drenched family photo dump. Harry, the garden, the golden hour glow. A woman with nothing to prove. Except the warmest photo in that happy set is stamped 2017, 9 years old. And it landed the same morning her husband made Time's most influential people in sport, the best headline he's had in years. This isn't a flex. It's a flare.
Now, the most devastating image of all of them, and many of them are compromising and shocking, is an image of Harry, showing him to be utterly miserable. But there is a shocking twist. You will not believe it. Also, in just a moment, I'm going to reveal the sinister messaging behind the photograph of Lily, with Meghan effectively calling her a queen, which spells big trouble for the royal family going forward.
And the question she will not answer is the one we're chasing for the next 20 minutes. How many of those 650,000 jars has she sold? Stay with me. This one is a proper puzzle. On the surface, it's a lovely album. A woman sharing a slow Sunday with her family, a few garden shots, a cooking clip, the children playing. But pull on the thread and the whole thing comes apart in your hands.
For her to be competing against Harry, she's always been after Harry's attention. That's why she hangs on to him like a limpet, why she attaches herself to him like a koala bear. You know, there is a constant need to touch Harry, and people at first said, oh, look, that's sweet. And then people started seeing, oh, she's actually controlling him. She's getting him to move in different directions. She's getting him to move out of the way. But also, it puts the attention back on her.
People who watch this couple for a living took one look at that carousel and didn't ask, isn't that sweet? They asked, what is she covering for? And once you've seen what I'm about to show you, you'll never look at one of her happy little photo dumps the same way again. The timing of this one is almost too perfect to be an accident.
Why does she cut onions like this? I have no idea, but we are going to review this, as well as what is Meghan Markle trying to tell the world by posting a photo like this. We're going to address this. And perhaps one of the quickest, most mysterious ones are, why would she hire, or at least recommend, a younger and cuter lady to promote As Ever products?
Here is the timing nobody at the breakfast table clocked. The very morning that Carousel went up, Time magazine named Prince Harry to its first ever list of the 100 most influential people in sport. Not buried in the middle either. Top of the leaders category for founding the Invictus Games. For one rare morning, the headline about the Sussexes was a good one, and it was about him, not her. In that interview, Harry talked with real dignity about wounded veterans finding their purpose again through sport. He said the work held him together after the loss of his mother, that without it, he might not have stayed the course. At 41, it was a glimpse of the Harry the public once warmly remembered, the kind of press money cannot buy, the kind he hasn't had in a very long time. And within hours, the photo dump arrived. Harry in the garden, a ball at his feet, the whole grid, all of a sudden devoted to him. You don't need a degree in body language to spot the pattern, though half the internet reached for one anyway.
She cannot cope with the fact that for once, Prince Harry had received a good day of publicity, being named unbelievably as one of the top 100 influential people in sport by Time magazine. Meghan couldn't cope with it because she wasn't mentioned at all.
The commentators called it flooding the zone. Her husband finally gets a gold star all of his own, and within hours she has redecorated the entire internet with her family album. Funny that, the cheek of it, some would say. The kinder read is pure coincidence. A wife proud of her family. But this is a woman who has built a whole second career on controlling exactly when and how and in what light the world sees her. Coincidence has never really been her style.
Meghan's narcissism really does shine on through. So of course that's going to affect every aspect of her life. She's going to be that way with her children. That's why Meghan spends thousands and thousands and thousands on herself, her hair, her makeup. You know, this is a woman that, well, she obviously spends a lot of money. She does have terrible fashion choices, but then she allows her children to be presented to the world wearing their pajamas, wearing dirty t-shirts and stuff.
So let's leave the photographs for a moment and follow the money. That is where the story really lives. Start with the public. According to YouGov polling reported by Newsweek, Meghan's likability in America has slid from 37% down to 29% in the space of 2 quarters. And it's not just that fewer people like her, more people actively dislike her, up from 22% to 27%. Put those together and her net rating has collapsed from a comfortable +15 to a wafer-thin +2.
The Duke and Duchess of Scamelot, their favorability has plummeted in the United States. Let me read you these statistics. They have plummeted from 37% to 29% in the eyes of Americans, right? Now, visitors on Meghan Markle's site, her web traffic has allegedly dropped from 108,000 in December to 61,500 in April, and we actually have this chart we'll put up on the screen. We're very legit over here. I feel like I need a laser pointer. We have charts and diagrams and dioramas up in here. I don't even need the charts to tell you the truth.
That is a woman running out of road with the one audience she moved to California to win. Then there is the shop. Traffic to her As Ever website didn't drift gently downward. It fell off a shelf. 108,000 American visitors in December. By January, 89,000, February, 83.5. A little bounce to 94 in March, then down again to around 61,500 by April, cut almost in half in 4 months.
Meghan has been relatively quiet. I see that she's trying to establish herself as a motherly figure, constant photos of Archie and Lily, just the back of their head, primarily Lily, because Archie's going to write Spare 2.0 one day. He's going to be like, what about me, Mom?
Mind you, across the whole year so far, January to May, just under 392,000 Americans visited the site in total. Set that against a warehouse holding 650,000 items, and the numbers do the talking on their own. The commentators have a theory, and for once, it isn't cruel. It's just blunt.
Is there a danger that Meghan's actually not just being quiet, but becoming a bit boring?
Oh, I think she's always been boring.
Boring. She's irrelevant.
Yeah.
She's on the cusp of being irrelevant.
The argument is that she has lost touch, that all the public hears is grievance. The bullying, the trolling, the lack of privacy, the hard life in the 8-bedroom mansion, and the royal panels have been blunter still.
I do think she's trying to establish herself as a more likable character to push back from the Vanity Fair pieces in The Hollywood Reporter about what a tyrant boss she was. So I think she's always been boring. I just think that there's been a real shift in their strategy to do more philanthropy and to be more family-oriented to try to soften their image after so many negative stories about how there were terrible collaborators professionally.
Boring, irrelevant, America's problem now. One panel set it almost to camera and barely blinked doing it. Harsh? Of course. But harsh is what you get when the numbers stop being kind, and the woman who was going to conquer America can't shift her own jam. One author this week even reached for Anne Boleyn, the wronged outsider of Tudor history. And here's the irony nobody mentions. That comparison was written as sympathy, a woman undone by a cold institution. The panels picked it up and turned it into a punchline. You couldn't make it up. And now we reach the number this whole video is named after. Earlier this year, an apparent flaw in the As Ever website let online sleuths peek at the stock levels behind the shop. You could try to add a ridiculous quantity to your basket, and the site would quietly tell you how many were sitting in the warehouse. What they found was eye-watering. More than 650,000 units in inventory back in January. At retail prices, that is roughly $21.8 million of jam, tea, wine, and flour sprinkles, all waiting for a buyer. To put it in plainer terms, the shop was holding more jars in that warehouse in January than it pulled American visitors to the website across the entire first 5 months of the year. More stock than shoppers. Let that sink in.
The reason Meghan Markle is losing favor with the public is because she's so out of touch with the real issues Americans have in this country. All she does is complain about how she's bullied, she's trolled, life is so hard, she has no privacy, the paparazzi.
Now slow down with me here. This is the part that really matters. The company has never published a single sales figure, not one. Supporters insist the stuff is flying off the shelves. Critics say a warehouse that full tells its own story. And some of the loudest praise online, those glowing little unboxing videos, comes from influencers who were posted free product, which makes you wonder how much of the love is real and how much was mailed out in a gift box. How convenient.
I really don't think there would be almost any traffic to the website if they weren't sending packages to influencers, which is interesting because I feel like Meghan Markle loves to trash influencers and trash online culture, but then she wants to use them to promote her products. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. But here's an influencer, I think her name is Olivia McDowell. This is so not my wheelhouse, but here she is really promoting Meghan Markle's products. And I just don't think there's a lot of genuine love for Meghan Markle's products. I think most of it is AstroTurf.
Then comes the detail that turns a soft patch into something colder. In March, Netflix, the partner that bankrolled the whole With Love Meghan world and cross-promoted the brand into existence, quietly walked away as an investor. The cooking show was not renewed. This is the same Meghan whose $20 million Spotify deal ended years ago, with barely a podcast to show for it. The pattern is not new. The big machine builds the launch pad, the rocket never quite leaves the ground, and the machine packs up and goes home.
She's not hawking homemade jam that was made in some facility in Chicago, Illinois, and tastes a little squirrely. She only pursues businesses that make her shine and make her and the family look good.
And the panels have stopped being polite about the product itself. Homemade jam, they sneer, run up in a facility somewhere, and tasting a little odd, as the rest of the family quietly builds brands that shine. Now, in fairness, sources close to the brand insist those figures are misleading, that As Ever is growing, and that website traffic is not the same thing as sales. Perhaps, but companies rarely lose their headline investor and their flagship show in the same season when the tills are ringing. A brand that runs on grievance is a fuel tank with a leak, and the gauge has been dropping for months. And this is the part that should bother you most. It reframes everything you just looked at. Look, here is where I lose patience with the lovely family album line. When a brand is sinking, when the polls are sliding, when your biggest backer has just slipped out the side door, what do? You change the subject, post the husband, the garden, the children, the soft golden light. Reach 9 years deep into the archive for a photo of a marriage that is absolutely fine, and forget to crop out the date stamp. That little 2017 in the corner is the whole thing in 4 digits. It's the tell, the exact moment the magic trick shows its wires. The photo dump was not a celebration of a happy summer. It was a distraction, and not even a tidy one. She left the receipt right there in the shot, 9 years old, posted in a hurry. The absolute audacity of it. That is not the housekeeping of a woman who is winning. She's changing the subject, isn't she? But there is a second person in these photographs, and his story runs the other way entirely. As Meghan's brand was sliding, Harry was being handed the one thing money cannot buy, a serious, dignified headline. For Invictus, the work he says has changed and saved the lives of wounded servicemen and women.
This is ultimately a rehabilitation trip, because I do agree that Harry's desperate to return to the UK. So mentally prepare for plenty of Harry during that week, because he's going to be everywhere trying to change public perception of him, especially in the UK where he polls horrifically right now.
And it has stirred something. That same week, the reports began, Harry wants to come home. He is due in Britain in July for an Invictus milestone, a year out from the 2027 games in Birmingham. And he reportedly wants to bring the family to see a father whose health has been fragile before it is too late. He told the BBC last year that life is precious, that he would love a reconciliation, that there was no point fighting anymore. But wanting to come home and being able to are two very different things. The last time he stood beside his brother in public was the Queen's funeral, back in September 2022, nearly 4 years ago, long enough that his own children have barely met their grandfather. He saw his father only briefly, for tea last autumn, and the security he says his family needs is still tangled in the committee the commentators call RAVEC, 30 days notice, case by case, and no guarantees at the end of it. He told the BBC he was devastated to lose his court fight over that very protection, and admitted at the time he could not picture a world in which he would bring his wife and children back to Britain. Back in January, the papers swore approval was a formality, all but nailed on. 6 months on, the Home Office has signed precisely nothing. Harry reportedly believes his father could cut through the red tape with a single word, though the palace line has always been that protection is a government matter, not the king's to fix. Or so we're told. And the wife and children, by every account, are not boarding that plane until somebody does. So the man who once had the whole world at his feet is now negotiating a visit to his own father through the newspapers. Let that land for a second.
I think that it's blackmail. I think that saying, I'm not bringing my wife and children over unless you give me what I want, is extortion. Harry has a pretty good situation with Ravik. He has to give them 28 days notice and a copy of his itinerary, and based on the current circumstances, they determine whether or not an armed security guard is waiting for him upon his arrival and will follow him throughout his trip. The likelihood that he would get that armed security if he arrives with his wife and children is incredibly high.
And then came the part that must have stung the most. On the 6th of June, the family gathered in the Cotswolds for the wedding of Peter Phillips, the late Queen's eldest grandchild. William was there, Catherine beside him, the King and Queen front and center. Both York princesses too. The very week their own father's finances were splashed across a damning national audit report, the one revealing he had paid a peppercorn rent on his mansion for 2 decades and quietly sublet the cottages on the grounds. The family was drawing the wagons in tight, and yet everyone was inside the circle. Everyone, except the one cousin who used to be at the very center of it all. Harry wasn't running late. Harry wasn't too busy. He simply wasn't invited by every account.
Harry wasn't at the wedding. Harry was not invited. It wasn't that he was too busy. He was not invited. This family's moved on.
And the reporting is fairly clear on why. Peter Phillips has grown close to William over the years, loyal and protective. And there was never going to be a version of that day where the two brothers shared a marquee.
William's ruthless. William wants rid of the Yorks. He has no time for his uncle, the disgraced former Prince Andrew. He has no time for Sarah Ferguson. And he is frosty to these two princesses. It's interesting. He did kiss one. He kissed Beatrice. My reporting is Beatrice got a very quick peck on the cheek, and then he wanted nothing to do.
The door did not stop there. Harry is said to be unlikely to get an invitation to the FIFA World Cup events this summer. The man they would rather have in the box is David Beckham. After the Sussexes reportedly accused the Beckhams of leaking to the press, the friendship curdled, and Beckham, a lifelong royalist, never forgave it. Think about that for a moment. They would rather have the footballer than the prince. The Met Ball passed him by, the Oscars, a family wedding, now the World Cup. One by one, quietly, the invitations have simply stopped coming.
Between the Prince of Football, David Beckham, or the Prince of Windsor, Harry, they're going to go with David Beckham. David Beckham's going to be here in America for FIFA, for the World Cup. He's probably the biggest football, soccer star in the world.
Yeah.
Everybody wants him at their event.
As one royal insider put it this week, they were handed the world on a plate, and they blew it. So step back and look at the whole board. This was never really about a single photograph. In 1 week, the brand that was meant to be Meghan's independence sprang a very public leak. The polls that once made her America's darling turned cold. The husband who walked away from all of it got honored for the very work he left behind and started quietly asking for the road home. And on the exact weekend, he might have taken it. The family threw a party and didn't send him a card. That is the cruel symmetry of it. The exit that was supposed to set them free has quietly become the cage. Her brand is failing, the spotlight is fading, and the door home just clicked shut with the soft little click of a name crossed off a guest list. A summer photo dump can paper over a great deal. It cannot paper over 650,000 jars.
They blew it. They blew it. They were literally handed the world on an oyster. People forget. This wedding was embraced by the world. There was no bad blood. King Charles walked her down the aisle after her father was no longer invited. 1 billion people. I was in Britain at the time of the wedding. Maureen, the people on the streets were cheering for her. They were buying tea towels with her face on it and coffee mugs. There was no racism, or at least overtly so. I mean, there always is issues, but the overwhelming support from the British public was absolutely theirs, and they blew it.
None of this needs a conspiracy. It is all sitting there in the public record. Polls, the traffic, the inventory, the guest list. The analysis is mine. The facts belong to everyone. And the facts this week were not on Meghan's side. That is the thing about a flare sent up in broad daylight. Everyone sees it, and everyone knows exactly what it means. Make of that what you will. So I'll hand it to you. Was that photo dump an innocent family share or damage control with the date stamp left on by mistake? Drop your verdict in the comments. I read every single one. Right, and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who care about these stories. And subscribe. There is a great deal more coming this week. Next time, we follow the money all the way into the As Ever warehouse and ask the question nobody in Montecito wants on camera. Where do 650,000 jars really go? You'll want to be here.